plot destruction, sorcerer of death construction. In the fields of bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning. Death and hatred to mankind.
My God, I love that. What's that called?
Oh, that's Winklebottom. Kind of a rarity in these parts. Came all the way from Germany.
Boy, that's exactly what I need in my front yard. Would you consider selling? Come on, let's get this in the ground before Hank gets home. Peggy Hill has found her calling card.
Idiot.
That's right. It's everybody's favorite gnome. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Shaman Sundays. I am your host, Brandon Cooper. It says it right there. I can never figure this camera stuff out. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. So, look, stupid good show tonight. I'm so glad everybody tuned in. I so enjoy my conversations with Carter Buschardt. He's becoming a repeat offender here on Shaman Sundays, but we'll get to him in just a second. So a couple things that I want to go over. So February, the first 2 episodes in February are going to be amazing. The reason why I'm talking about them now is because there will be backlash on probably both of these shows. February 4th, I'm giving a platform to somebody to tell their side of the story about how they've been dicked over by the paranormal community. And I've always said this is a safe place if people want to come on. If you don't have a platform, use mine. So the 4th is going to be a great one. And the 11th, out of my comfort zone. It will not probably be a paranormal show February 11th, but I do have former high-ranking CIA operative John Karaku coming on, and we're going to talk about just some things that I had questions about, being that I was in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he was the station chief of Pakistan. It's the military side that's going to come out, and we're going to sit and we're going to have a chat with John Karaku. Now, if those of you who don't know who that is, he was the whistleblower on the torture, the waterboarding, and other sanctioned torture. I don't know what you want to call it. So that's going to be another really big episode, but backlash probably for both. But ask me if I care. I don't care. I'm going to bring you cool stuff that I find interesting. But yeah, so I'm going to keep warning everybody before it comes up. I don't talk politics, but obviously if I'm talking to a CIA agent, former, we're going to mention politics, but it's not going to be like you think. So I'm trying to give everybody a heads up. Those are going to be 2 great episodes. Let's go in and let's say hello to everybody that's watching. Good evening. I like that. I love your profile picture, by the way. We got Resneck. What's up, buddy? Russell. Hey, man. Brian. Hey, Brian. I'm still your bitch. What's up, buddy? Everybody needs a bitch, and I'm Brian's. We got Greg Koss. Hello, Kim. Tracy. Hey, Tracy, I asked Resneck to reach out to you. He wants some shirts, and you're the shirt person. Oh, we got Anthony. We got the Wraith Hunter himself. We've got Kim Brady. Hey, y'all have a safe trip. I think y'all are leaving for Florida tomorrow. Please be safe on the ride down. Sydney, Orale Vato. And who else we got? We got Tabitha. And we've got Kimmy Corpse. Okay, y'all. My guest this evening, you may know him from his 3 other books, which I had sitting here, but they got moved. Anyway, he is a huge Sasquatch aficionado, shall we say. However, tonight, we're talking about something different. He has a brand new book out, and I will just show you the front and the back of this book, and then we're going to talk about it. But there's a change. This is not about Bigfoot. This is the true story of Carter Buschardt's abduction. There's the front. There's the back. Look at that little fella. Oh, who knew he would grow up to be that guy? Poor kid. This is going to be great. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Carter Buschardt. Hey, buddy.
Hey, I was a rather handsome little Cub Scout now, wasn't I?
Really? Who knew? Who knew from that tender young innocence that, wow, we would be here today?
Yeah. Well, when I found out what had happened to me, I had to think back of, do I have any photos of me at 7 or 8?
Right.
And I mean, I was literally just digging through stuff because I was either an embryo or I was 48 years old. I didn't have anything in between, as far as I could tell. But I found my Cub Scout picture from Miss Whiteside's Cub Scout troop.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I remember Miss Whiteside. Yeah, she was my den mother. That could be really a bizarre term, but we'll just leave it at she was the Cub Scout den mother.
I had a den mother as well. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
now, Tabitha says you were so cute as a kid.
Oh yeah, I was precious.
Or do you mean now, Tabitha? Now or as a kid? Either way, super.
Yeah, not now. Yeah, I'm just
So
hey, Martha, where's my diapers?
Yeah, right.
Just kidding.
So I do want to shout out this book real quick. So I bought this book right here, that book right there. I bought it directly from Mr. Carter Buschardt, not from Amazon. Do you want to know why I buy directly from the author and not on Amazon? So Carter gets the money. If you buy it on Amazon, he may never see it. It's a wonderful book. All of his books are amazing. He is independently published. I mean, look at the quality. Look at this.
No, it's good stuff. This is my first all black and white book that I've done. All my Sasquatch books, all 3 of them are all color.
Right.
And that's why I don't do Amazon, because I'm self-published.
Yep.
So if you put it on Amazon, my book that you can buy for $25 or $30 will cost you 1.5 times that, at least 45 or 50, because they got to make their money. Color. And that's, I'm lucky enough, fortunate enough to be able to get my books printed and sell them myself. I have my own webpage. I do all that, so it's.
And we'll talk about that later on when it gets closer. But I just wanted to make sure that to tell everybody, look, if you get the opportunity, get it straight from the author.
Absolutely. Anybody, I'm helping somebody else right now in the Sasquatch world get their book together. And it's a process, but if you have been through it and you can help somebody else, you pay it forward. That's what I'm doing. And they're very, very, very grateful. And it's going to save them a lot of money. And it saved me money too. I mean, the worst part of it is copywriting, getting your stuff copywritten. You have to go to the U.S. Copyright Office and get all that stuff done and formatted. It's government. It's cumbersome government plotting.
BS. Yeah. Yeah.
God, you got to take a nap every time you do one chore because it's debilitating.
Oh, we're getting questions. We just got started. I see the prints on the wall behind you, Carter. Whoa.
Yeah. That's the tricks of the trade there. And but so yeah, this book, it was an accident that I found out that I had been abducted starting at the age of 7 or 8. Had no idea. I found out when I was 42, 43. I'm 72 now. I had no idea. You know, I had a story
Right.
I told. You know, all of us humans, we have stories we tell, or at least I do, about stupid things we did as a kid that should have killed us and didn't.
Right.
You know,
I have plenty. Yes.
Almost everybody has those stories, I would think. Hang on just a minute. I'm gonna. Okay, I got it. Anyway, so me and my friend Craig, Dallas, Texas, early 60s, mid 60s, late 50s, early 60s. Can't remember. Anyway, we were riding our bikes, racing each other on our brand new bikes. Dallas,
Right.
Texas, hot summer day, right in front of my house. And this is a story I've told 1,000 times at least. When you're trying to make friends or break ice at a party, or you're just getting to talk with a bunch of people, guys or whatever, and hey, I once grabbed an electrical wire and I electrocuted me, and I'm better than ever.
Right. Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Anyway.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we felt the wind of this car blowing by us. We ran a stop sign. We were racing, and I was looking at each other. I was seeing how far ahead of him I was. I was racing, having a great time. I was looking back at him. He's slow, And so, and then all of a sudden, boom, we run a stop sign. This car goes by. We feel the wind. Our shirts are ruffling. It's like, oh my God. And we pulled over, and we were going, oh my God, how did it happen?
Right.
It was right in front of my house. My mother, as with many women back in the late 50s, early 60s, was not working. She was a housewife, literally. Barbara Billingsley with the pearls, all that stuff.
Got it.
Leave it to Beaver, leave it to Carter's mom, whatever. And so I just knew she saw us, but she didn't. And we were just going, I can't believe that car didn't hit us. Did you feel the wind? Oh God, yeah. What the hell? That was weird. So anyway, I told that story until 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew it to be true. I that's just what I thought it was. 2004, my wife and myself and another couple, we decided, we were having cocktails sitting around the house one night, and she was the widow of my ex-comedy partner, so I knew her very, very, very well.
Right.
And she had remarried since he passed away. Anyway, we decided we wanted to go see if we ever had a past life. And I don't know about you, but I always felt like I had a past life. I felt like I was a woman in a past life. I felt that way since I was a kid. I've always just, but I had memories of certain periods of time, and it was just weird things. So anyway, we decided we'd go find out, see if we could get regressed and see if we had past lives. So we, long story short, I, went to the, yellow pages at the time, because that's how you did it.
Right.
I found a hypnotist 30 miles away, relatively close. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. So we all went. It was a Saturday afternoon, and we went and we meditated. We all calmed ourselves, got relaxed. We walked this maze that this hypnotist had on their property to help you relax and become one with all the powers and energies. Anyway, so we did all that. My wife went first, and we were all watching each other. We were all in a barn, and sitting on hay bales at different levels. We were just kind of watching. It was like looking down there and watching the whole thing. We all watched each other go under. So my wife went under first. She couldn't go under. Some people with hypnotism, you can't go under because you have control issues.
Right.
Or whatever. PTSD is another reason you can't go under. It might not go under. Anyway, she couldn't go under. So my friend's widow, she went under, and I remember 2 past lives. A fisherman on a boat in North Atlantic, very violent season in the 1920s, and she was an Indian medicine man in a past life, and she was helping her tribe die. They were all dying. There was no medicine. And she was just watching all this grief and stuff going by. It was very descriptive. It's very moving, anyway. So when I go, my turn, I'm last. And so it takes me a while, but I finally get under, and I immediately start sobbing uncontrollably. And I'm talking like an 8-year-old kid. And I'm just describing, get away from me, get off of me, stop that, leave me alone. I mean, and I'm crying, and everybody's in there going, and the hypnotist is too. And so I go through this entire litany. The incident with the car flying by and almost hitting us, it was not a car. It was a spacecraft. The car was a screen memory. And I'm going to piece this together for you, Brandon. You're going to see how clever and talented, skilled the ETs and possibly even our own technology is.
Right.
So anyway, we were abducted. And when I was talking on the tape, I've got all cassettes of all 5 of my regressions. I've been regressed 5 times. So this is all the real thing. So I'm talking about, leave me alone, get off of me, what are you doing? And, we suddenly realize that we're in the spacecraft. I'm describing me and my friend sitting in the spacecraft. The next thing I'm describing is them doing medical procedures to him, and I'm watching as he's behind this screen, which people have heard many, many times. Funny how screen memories is part of this thing, but anyway.
Right.
I'm watching through this very thin scrim, and he's screaming bloody murder, and I'm watching this, that's part of what I recalled during this regression. And so the other part I remembered was them telling us, you're not going to remember this. Don't worry, you're not going to remember this. And so then when I came out, when she finally brought me out, I remember everybody sitting there watching me. I'm looking around and everyone's like, and including the hypnotist. I've got tears running down my face, and everybody's staring at me. I'm going, what's going on here? How come? What am I crying? Did somebody throw water at? What's going on? I had no idea. I was out. I was awake, but I was out. I was somewhere else. Right there, but I was somewhere else. That's hypnotism for you. And so they all were just like, you don't remember. And so they just started filling me in. It was quite the interesting ride home. I remember it was just
I can only imagine.
Well, the thing is, this regression hypnotist, this was one of her first 4 or 5 times doing this at all. She had just gotten her therapist license. And this is what happens to her. She gets an abduction. Past life, well, I'll say, a little more.
Yeah.
But so I'm laughing now, but I wasn't at the time. And there are moments now where it still affects me. I mean, honestly, I'm changing the tone. But anyway, so that's where the book came from. Now, my regression happened in 2004. And I went under 4 more times within a year of that time. I kept all the tapes. I have them up, and I put them in my closet in my office.
Yep.
And there they sat for 20 years. I did nothing. I saw them every day. I had to move them to get to other stuff doing my Sasquatch work, all my chemicals and microscope stuff's up in the closet. So I have to go in there every now and then. So anyway, I did nothing with it. And like you and I were talking, I do not know why. I chased Sasquatch all through the woods, forests of America. I'm not afraid, but I think maybe I was afraid. I don't know if it was, I was afraid it would affect my reputation in the Sasquatch world, or, well, like, 'cause you know how it is in the Sasquatch encrypted world, paranormal world in general. It's very cutthroat. Everybody wants to be number one. So, well, your Sasquatch book sales are a little slow, so now you've been abducted. Oh, okay, good for you. Yeah, good move. Bully for you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So anyway,
exactly.
This happened to me, and I cannot put my finger. I mean, if somebody in the group, if this happened to you and you decided to say nothing or do nothing about it, what would it be? Would it be fear?
No, Lee, she said that she was going to do hypnosis, but she doesn't really want to know.
Well, Lee, honestly, if you're this far, I was going to do it, but you already know, you have a feeling. You already have a feeling you were abducted as a child. There's something making you think that. And you do want to know, because, I didn't know until I found out by accident.
Right.
But I did it 4 more times after I found out by accident. You might find out on purpose, and you might want to go back for more, because you're going to only be able to, I had screen memories. The ETs put screen memories on me, in my head, in my brain. I remembered that UFO is a blue car that almost hit us. I didn't remember it as a craft. I did later. I've got a killer story about that. But anyway.
Speaking of that car, hang on.
Yeah.
There we go. Just to give everybody a frame of reference, so this was the car in your screen memory, right?
Well,
or something similar.
It's the exact car, except it was blue. I couldn't find the blue one that was representative, and I would have had to go through copyright issues to use the photo and all that. I said, this is the car. So, but Lee, back to this. If you've got an inkling that something happened, you're going to wonder about it the rest of your life. So you're going to be wondering about something the rest of your life. Why not find out now and wonder about something else, but not that? That's not something you don't know anymore. It's something you do know. Whether you want to look further into it, it's all up to you. But, I did it, and I did it 4 more times. So I was hungry for knowledge.
Yep.
So in my case, I was given screen memories, and a screen memory, for those who aren't initiated, is something that they put into your mind, your psyche, to remember in place of what you actually saw or experienced. Like if you see a gray alien, the big eyes, thin bodies, smaller. If you're taken or having interactions with them, you'll probably be remembering an owl or a deer.
I wish you hadn't mentioned,
because they have big eyes.
Well, I wish you hadn't mentioned the owls, because now it takes me back to, what was that movie, The Fifth Kind, where with all the white owl. Oh God.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But that's what they do. And they do screen memory, so it makes you forget what your subconscious remembers and coat it with this screen memory. And I had so many different screen memories. Aunt Jemima was a screen memory of mine. So anyway, I want to explain why this car is so important and why it ties in and how clever the ETs and or if they were in cahoots with the government doing this, because some of the verbiage I was spoken to with sounds awful American, But anyway, so this car that hits us, it's a blue car. Well, I realized that later it's a blue Buick, 1951 Buick Roadmaster. My grandparents had a blue 1951 Buick Roadmaster, and they lived in Houston, Texas. And it was parked in their garage. They rarely ever drove it because they were just too old. And so that car was in my psyche. They took what was in my memory bank, put it in a different area in my brain, in my thinking process. Sorry, I'm not more scientific because I'm just an old hippie.
That's all right.
But, my wife and I, before I was hypnotized, just before, we bought a 1951 Buick, that black Buick you saw. We bought it to restore because I was just in love when I saw the picture of that car for whatever reason. That's just so funny. And so, we bought the car. And I didn't even make the connection until after we had the car. It was black, and we ended up repainting it black. But my grandparents, what I'm telling you, they knew by just taking me one time what was in my subliminal mind in memory banks, and they replaced as much as they could of what happened really with what was in my brain to disguise presence in what happened. Now that is just freaking incredible. And it gets better, but I'm just going to go piece by piece on this. So they did that, and it's like they put it as a 51 Buick. That's what I remember seeing.
Right.
And it wasn't a Buick. Far from it.
It was definitely not a Buick.
Yeah. And so anyway, that was the first part of the regression, and then you got any other questions? I mean, I'll just keep rambling if you want me to.
I think Lee's got another one here. I remember seeing the Grays, but I called them the motorcycle men because I was so young. I didn't know about aliens, all in leather and big heads.
Well, all in leather, big head sounds like my ex-wife.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm just sorry.
Oh,
sorry, that's my inside voice.
You know her too, huh?
Yeah, Lee, I assure you, you have had one because you just say, I remember seeing the Grays, but call them motorcycle men. See, I had the same type thing. I slept with my brother in a bunk bed in my bedroom in my house, which is where we almost got hit by that car right in front. Anyway, in my bunk bed, I'd wake up sometimes at night and I would see little shadows, bodies with big heads walking down the hall. If I looked to the right, the very far right down the hall, I couldn't see down, but at the very far end of that was my parents' bedroom. And right in front of their bedroom was a nightlight plugged into the wall. So it cast weird long shadows as you walked further away from it, just the way, because it looks like you're about 48 feet tall, that kind of thing. So, but I kept seeing these Grays look like they were going down an escalator. I saw them often. And I just thought, well, that was just one of those weird dreams I had as a kid. I didn't even think of it as alien related because I just remember saying, well, that was just kind of weird. I always had this weird dream I just put it in the back of my head. And that's what we're taught to do. We're all taught from the time we're born, come out of the birth canal until we're 20, we're taught how to think and view the world. So, aliens don't exist. Sasquatch don't exist. Well, I can tell you they both do.
Right.
Dogman, Mothman, ghosts, what have you, Slender Man, any of that. we're taught how to view the world. So anyway, so what she just said, I'd scrape together some money and go get a regression, because you're going to want to know, because like I said, I did it and I found out how much more I was involved in this and how much more the things that happened to me have affected me in this life now I'm leading right now, not my childhood.
She says, I just don't want to remember the probing and medical procedures they did on me. Oh,
Well, that's part of it. They did them on me. And part of I'm going to jump the gun here, but part of the, she's brought up a good topic.
Yep.
Part of the reason I was taken, me and my friend Craig, and that's another story. It's just fascinating. I can't believe it's just been put in my lap, and for me to remember it all. Anyway, they took me and Craig. We were both the same age, born in September 16th, 1951. We were both born the same day.
I remember talking to you about this. It's fascinating.
And maybe a third friend of mine who I just heard from recently, he also has the exact same birth. 3 people. If I was going to do experiments on humans, 3 of them that are the exact same age, same race, same everything is perfect. I mean, same age, like same birthday. They're born on the same. What a great group to experiment with. So anyway, but they took me, Lee, to check for hybridization, making sure I was a compatible subject, because they told me this under hypnosis. And that's something I wanted to hear. I wanted to know, I want to know more, but that's all I know now.
Right.
But they had put me into a cocoon or embryo type thing, which is this real kind of pod like thing. And I was standing up, and my face was up against it. It was very claustrophobic, and I was clawing and scratching. I was bitching and moaning. I wanted to get out of there. And so they finally came and cut me out of it. They took a red laser and it just burned it right down the thing, and I fell out, and I was out. But they said I was isolated to make sure their germs did not affect my biology. Those are their words, not mine. And my biology would not affect their germs or biology, their words. Their terms from the hybridization was meshing or melding. They used both words interchangeably. So this is what they called, in their words, which is very Americanized words, It almost sounded, it didn't sound like something an ET would say. Of course, how would I know what they would say in place of, embryonic transference or whatever they want to call it,
Right.
The hybridization, so, but that's why I was, part of the reason I was taken was that, and I was not even the one they were after. Apparently my friend Craig had been taken before, and I happened to be with him this day, and I was collateral damage. But I turned out to be a perfect match because we were born on the same day, same year, same city. I mean,
right.
Like I said, and had another buddy who I spent much more time with in high school. He was born September 16th, 1951. And he called me out of nowhere, and we used to hunt and fish the same place my other friend, Craig, went. This guy's name was Gordon. So you've got this really cacophony of, I won't even say coincidence. This is like planned intervention. You've got 3 boys,
right?
Preteens, same birthday, same exact day, same year, same everything. And what a great find for the ETs, So,
well, let me ask you this: do you think it was a random find for the ETs, or have they been watching this?
I think they did. Well, they it wasn't random. it was probably random for me, but I don't have any inclination. I have no memory, and I've been regressed enough. I should know. I was
Yeah.
not taken before all this started. You know,
Right.
I wouldn't take it. This is when it started, and it started by accident because I was with Craig, and so and so they started taking me because I matched what they saw in him,
Right.
and I was chosen for this hybridization program, and I still do not know. That's one of the questions I want to find out, is if I was actually used in a hybridization process, and I don't see why I probably wouldn't have. They had every chance in the world. Is how much time was I gone? Blood, DNA.
Right.
Okay, you can grab that in a heartbeat. One swab, and they got me in a petri dish somewhere.
Exactly.
Come here, girls. Here he is. Here's
Look at it. Look at Carter. There it is.
Carter, be gentle. He's young.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, really, in all seriousness, it happened. That's how it happened. And so the first time, I could not get over it when it happened, obviously. So I woke up the next day, and we went back, just my wife and I, to go under again. And it validated virtually everything she got and a few things more on the second version.
Right.
Thanked you for her time, went back home. Next morning, I wake up and I draw, and I don't remember drawing or remembering, or I don't remember seeing what I drew, but apparently I did. I drew a reptilian, and it was I'm not an artist, but it's a darn good.
Right.
Darn good. It had multiple colors, reds and bright reds and golds and greens and reptilian, like a chameleon. I mean,
Yep.
very, very vivid coloring. It was really good. And I scanned it and I emailed it to her. And a couple of days go by, I don't hear from her. So I called her up and said, "Hey, did you get my fax?" Yeah. You're going to have to find somebody else to handle this. I'm not equipped to handle this. And that's when I found out she was relatively new to all of this.
Right.
And I still, at the time, I went under the second time with her, just my wife and I was crying still again. I mean, the whole thing was, I was reliving my 8-year-old self. I wasn't the 40-year-old man, 43-year-old man.
Right.
I was 8-year-old me. And I was just like, I was gone. I was basket case. So, because who wouldn't be, So I remembered enough to be upset, but in my conscious self now, with my subconscious knows everything. My conscious tells me nothing.
Right.
Bastard. I hate myself, because I will tell myself nothing. It's fairly frustrating. But so I have to get regressed to remember some of these things. So I went to, now I mentioned Dolores Cannon.
Yep.
She was the primo mistress of regression hypnosis and dealing with time and space and ETs and energy beings and the whole and she was married to a military man for a lot of years, and she had access to a lot of interesting people to hypnotize. Trust me. So I went under with her. That woman I met the first time was her student. The next woman I found out, excuse me, was her student also. I went to her, and she was in Springfield, Missouri. Same results, although she dwelled a bit more into my past life. And in my past life, I was a woman. Alive during Jack the Ripper, London. I remember the cobblestone streets. I remember seeing blood and guts coming out from a woman laying there just laid open in the street under this black street lamp, gas lamps from the 1800s. Remember the whole thing. And I was a woman. And I felt guilty for apparently some guilt during my entire life. I've carried this guilt for not helping and or stopping the murder. That's bizarre. You know, I didn't remember that.
Right.
But I did have a feeling I was a woman in a previous life. And so she connected onto that. So about half of this regression dealt with the past life because it kept coming up and rearing its head. And the other thing they were dealing with was I was brought up by an abusive father, mentally abusive. And so I had issues with that. And I had self-defense mechanisms built
Right.
in. Anything traumatic was going to happen to me, I was going to throw up the Great Wall of China. You weren't going to get to me.
Right.
Yep. So between the Great Wall of China, my wall of defense, due to my upbringing with my father, and the screen memories of the ETs to make me forget what happened, and that all being traumatic at the time to an 8-year-old kid, which yes, it would be.
Right. Oh,
So
yeah.
I had these two factions, plus my own self, that I was aware of. I was not aware of all this other stuff, until I got regressed.
Yep.
Because I was not regressed, I was letting my father affect me. But
Right. Right.
I didn't have any idea. He came out loud and strong, and he was not a nice person. I'm not speaking ill of the dead because I can, but because he just happens to be dead. I've said the same thing to him. He was just not nice to me. And so I had all this luggage, and so it was really easy to hide the alien experience from their point of view because I didn't even know I had one.
Right.
So it was really easy just to be hiding behind all this other superfluous stuff that I had going on in my head. I was an immature kid. I was an immature 20-year-old. I was an immature 30-year-old, probably, because I was a drummer for 20 years. I was doing crazy stuff.
See, you're speaking my language. I've been a drummer for 20 something years. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was a comic for at least 5, and so I was living that wild side and but all that. So, but it was easy to hide all that stuff. And so it was hidden very well when this lady got a hold of me, but we dwelled a lot on it to the point I began to understand why that was hidden. How it's so well hidden so easily, how it would take a ball bearing to the head to get me to remember something out of nothing because it was just that buried, psychologically.
Right.
The third lady, I said, well, screw this. I went to Dolores Cannon's students twice. I said, I'm going to go to the master. I tell you what, she wasn't cheap either. This was like 2005 and 2010. I went under with her 2 different times, 5 years apart. And so I went under with her. And my God, she just tore right into it. I mean, she got to, I could see why she's the master.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she just didn't take no for an answer. And she's very, she's like a little old lady, but she was just tenacious.
Right.
And she went after things. And, when I got in my way, making excuses and say, because I kept when I'm under, I'm saying, am I really saying this stuff? Am I really under? Am I asleep? Really? And they're telling me, Carter, shut up. Keep talking. You're doing fine. Just stop. Don't do this. Keep going.
Right.
That's because I was so aghast at the stuff that was coming out of my mouth because the alien is talking to me.
Yeah.
Through my mouth because my subconscious is coming out.
Right.
Through the hypnotist. And she's talking to me. So therefore I'm talking to the alien and I'm getting all the data, what they want to share. And so that was fascinating, but she got to it and she verified and put a period at the end of a lot of sentences, and so I went under with Dolores in 2005 and 2010. 2005, 2010, when I was starting to get into the real estate game and develop my Sasquatch repertoire and my interest in researching Sasquatch, Bigfoot.
Right.
And so, I've led expeditions and done all that stuff. I was with BFRO. I've led expeditions, and I've had 100 reports published to BFRO. Published. 100 Class A, Class
Right.
B citing like the real stuff. So anyway, I've earned my keep. So anyway, but I took those tapes and I just put them on my cloth. Like, I was just afraid of them. I just didn't do anything with them. I knew they were there. I was looking at them. They haunted me, and all the regression. I said, you don't listen to these tapes. You need to listen to them over and over and over. After you do them, listen to them. You're going to remember stuff every time. You're going to, I didn't even remember that. You didn't remember you said it. You didn't remember you experienced it. You didn't remember something, but you'll remember.
Right.
And so I had 20 years of probably being so far ahead of the game, I wouldn't even be sitting here talking to you. I'd have written 40 books.
Right.
I let it sit there. And I had to, go take time away from my life and spend valuable time and money to get this stuff pulled out of my head. But I'm very, very glad I did. I do it in a heartbeat. I did it 5 times over. But it's not knowing until like you're for real 72 and you don't know this, you knew about it 25, 30 years ago and you did nothing with it. I mean, it's been sitting there that long. It's just like, where would I be now as a human and knowledge wise about the ET alien presence and all that kind of stuff, and Sasquatch too,
Right.
And Sasquatch research came up in my regressions, which was interesting, because these abduction things indirectly fueled my interest in the paranormal.
See, I was going to ask that question. If you thought that the whole UFO abduction encounters had increased your ability to, I guess, interact with the Sasquatch, or, if it had anything to do with
it. It has to. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that, but I interacted with the Sasquatch, telepathically in 2020, and and it's from this book.
Yep.
Anyway, I had a very good expedition. 2019, I had 4 people, myself and my partner in Illinois. I led an expedition for BFRO in Illinois. Trail of Tears, a very emotionally charged area, by the way. I picked it under the advice of the entire town. You don't want to go there at night. Nobody will ever go there at night. Nobody.
Right.
Oh, really?
Okay.
So yeah. I should have plenty of room. I have the whole place to myself. I'm going.
Right. No interference. I love it.
Thanks for the invite.
Exactly.
And so a lot of results, a lot of good stuff happened. And we reached a stopping point. And so we left, the 6 of us all together. And I got a hold of Harold the next year, 2021, after COVID had hit. You couldn't go anywhere. So yep. I want to go back and see if this area, because he and I go squatching in Illinois often. I try to go once a year. I haven't been in a couple of years, but we once a year for a long time.
Right.
And so I want if this has got a great vibe, a better vibe than anywhere else we've been, in Illinois, even the Trail of Tears. And so we went back and we walked down. Now he can't walk all the way because he's crippled. So I walked down to where we had to stop. It was a natural stopping spot about 100 yards down. There's a big giant tree across the crevice that we were walking down. Used to be an old creek bed. So I stopped there and I said, Harold, I'm going to leave a camera here because we were just going to stay overnight, see if the vibe was good. Great. Good to see you again. And I'm going to go back because COVID was hit. I want to be back here with my wife. So I went back to the car, got the camera, left it at the log. And we
right.
went back to camp. We were camping somewhere else, about 12 miles away. We went back to the Trail of Tears campsite, actually. And we camped, and there we were. I got up the next morning, 8 o'clock. I go down to the where we had the expedition and left my trail camera, and I go there, and there's those 6 rocks on the tree. They were not there that afternoon. It's COVID. Ain't nobody out anywhere. It's like a ghost town. You couldn't go out to eat. You couldn't go do nothing anywhere. You know, remember how it was.
Yeah.
And so there was nobody out. So I pick up the camera and I'm looking at these rocks and I'm going, that's weird. Nobody would be out. It's COVID. I mean, they would have had to get here at night because it was October and it's dark at 5 o'clock, 5:15, and we were there about 2:30. So my whole point of telling you this is the lead up to the rocks and the telepathy. So I looked at those rocks and I suddenly went, oh my God, that's the 6 of us. I'm the arrow, I'm the big leader rock, and the 4 people behind me are the people on the expedition. And the other one, the short round one, was over there at the other end. That was Harold, who was there, but he wasn't there because he couldn't go all the way. So he stayed in his car at night at the campsite.
That's awesome.
So anyway, before I came home, I called my wife and I told her, I said, hey, you know, what's going on? And she said, well, hey, I told her what happened. I was just out of my mind with excitement. You know, I was almost bawling. And she goes, so what time did that happen? I said, well, I don't know. It's probably have to be after dark. So after 8:30, at least, good and dark. You know, she goes, well, last night, 8:30, I'm getting ready for bed. And a blue orb comes through the window, flies around the room. I see it fly by me physically, and I see it also in the bedroom mirror, and it goes into the bathroom and disappears. The Sasquatch were making a connection. They were letting me know that they knew where I lived and she was part of me. And and since that day, I have had 3 or 4 mental telepathic dreams where I'm communicating with them in that area. And so that part of my relationship with Sasquatch research is brought up in the last regression I did, the last one I did in August of 2023. So it's all tied in, but you don't know that.
Right.
You know, I thought I got into Sasquatch research because I saw the Patty film on In Search Of, Leonard Nimoy.
In Search Of. Oh, yep.
That's the first time I saw it. I went, oh, I'm hooked. That's it. They're real. I know they're real. In fact, I knew the whole world. I knew the universe was something other than it was meant to be. I just knew as a kid, and I didn't know why. But now I do, of course. You know, in my regression, I've been taken to the rings of Saturn. Not changing subject, but I'm just trying to cover it all. So somebody have got something else they want to throw in there. I've been taken to Machu Picchu. I've been taken somewhere that has it had seaweed for the floor. I was walking on seaweed and there was moss and water dripping down the walls, and there were stones. There were laid stones, but it was a really big wall. And I don't know if the seaweed was a different place or that was part of the wall, because I walked from the seaweed to the wall thing. And I thought maybe I just had not found the wall that was already there. But anyway, but just weird, strange things. And I kind of had memories of them, but after I was regressed, they came back. You know, do I have prophetic dreams? No, I don't. I don't yet. I don't. If I did, I'd probably buy a lottery ticket.
I would too if you had one.
You know, I mean, I hate to be capitalistic, but you know, then I could do my ET research, and I would. I'd be very wealthy. But no, I don't. I'm not that way. In fact, you know, sometimes, you know, I'll take something to knock me out at night because I do not sleep well. I have the old rock and roll bedtime of dawn. Yeah. And that's what time I wake up now. You know, so I'm up at 4 every morning. So, I can't stay up like I used to, but it's, you know, but I do sometimes. But it's funny what lays buried and you don't know. And, you know, and this gives some people, and what I was telling you earlier, I've had so many people like this Lee person and maybe and several others that you know, if I've said their names, you'll know, but I can't say anything.
Right.
And many researchers, male and female actually outweigh the men on this one so far, regarding abduction and possible impregnation, which is bizarre, very, very strange. Very, you have to like turn this show off. If you heard it on TV, you turn the show off. I'm not going to listen to that kind of crap.
Exactly. It's like back in the day with the National Enquirer. I'm not reading that crap.
Yeah, but it's actual real stuff. It happens. You don't even don't listen to me. Go look it up. I don't remember, like 1 out of every 15 people will claim or have a memory of possible abduction. I mean, it's some bizarre number. It's such a routine thing. It's not like it used to be. It's very pronounced, and it does happen to people. You just have to have an open mind about it. You may not want to believe it, but at least have an open mind.
And that's something that we're going to talk about in the second hour. I want to ask you about a couple things. I'm going to bring up the Miami aliens in the mall, and we're going to talk about some stuff like that. So if everybody would stick around, we're going to take about a 5-minute break so we can get sodas or tea, or Carter can go get a Moscow Mule or something. And
or maybe Fireball and rum and some orange juice.
Hey, there you go.
Well, I might be fine. I might be just fine right there.
Who knows? Who knows what's in the cup?
All right, we'll come back. I'll go kiss the wife tonight and then come back in here and
all right, guys. So y'all stay. I'm gonna go ahead and drop you off, Carter. Y'all, please stay tuned. As always, when we go to break, I play a nice theta wave, relaxation music brought to you by Illuminating Hearts. If you Google Illuminating Hearts, they are our sound healer friends, Astra and Orion, and they have plenty of healing and information on their website. So go check them out. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Look, I got 13 viewers. Let's see if we can hold 13 till I get back. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Wow, what happened to my sound? Aliens. It's aliens. Everybody, welcome back to the second half of Shaman Sundays. I'm still your host, Brandon Cooper, and this is still Carter Buschardt. Extraordinary.
Or is it?
Ooh. Yeah. Thank you for hanging with us for the second hour. Hey.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah,
I don't know if you were talking to me or somebody else.
Well, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, I'm looking over here. I see some new people.
Yeah. I wanted to mention something. I'm making some jokes here and there, but it's a serious thing. But I'm joking because I'm comfortable with it. But some others may not be. And it may seem like I'm trivializing it, but I'm really not. It's just that I'm still in shock that it happened, and that I've been carrying it with me all this time and didn't know it for like 40 some odd years. I mean,
Right.
That's the weird part. Is that was in my head all this time. I had no idea, and quite by accident I found out. And so, and because I'm into cryptids and Sasquatch especially, it may have helped sedate me a little bit as to the shock of it all. I can't really speak to that. I don't know, but it's just I don't mean to make fun of it. Maybe it's nervous laughter.
Well, that's a similar way how I deal with my trauma from combat and stuff.
Yeah.
I'll find myself laughing, and it's just a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So we'll just chalk it up to a coping mechanism. But one thing, when you came out with your book, you're so profound in your Bigfoot knowledge and truthful and an honest guy that when I saw that you're writing a book about an alien abduction, I immediately like, okay, I believe it. Let's hear it.
Well, thanks. Yeah, thank you.
But and there's a lot out there about aliens. Like why, all these questions. Like, okay, so before the show, you and I were talking about the number 12.
Yeah.
And how what was it, Majestic 12?
Yeah, Majestic 12.
So 12 disciples in the Bible. Why is 12 such a magical? I'm not a numerologist, I don't know, but 12 came up, and then you said that when you went back for hypnosis, you had 12 questions that you were.
Yeah, it was just the number that the most recent, the woman I went with, who was a third tier. Yep. Level wise, she was way up there. She gave me said you can have 12 questions to ask your subconscious. And until you mentioned it, I hadn't even drawn the analogy,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I don't know. Like I said, I went down a rabbit hole watching abductee videos and stuff, just getting ready for this interview. And I said that I was going to mention the Miami aliens, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so chew on this. If you take the coordinates for that mall and you flip them, take the longitude and put it in latitude, put it in longitude, it brings you to the middle of Antarctica.
South Pole. Yeah.
South Pole, yeah.
Yeah.
Did the aliens, did they put in the coordinates backwards and I'm in a mall? I mean,
could have.
Have you seen it?
Could have read it wrong.
Well, or could it have had human intervention? So the Chinese, Japanese, they all read backwards from us. So could it have been them just reading it backwards?
Don't know.
I don't know.
I'll tell you, the response is off the charts. Why would you send 300 cops in cars, depending on what story you listen to, 200 or 300 cops to a mall for 6 kids chasing each other with sticks and fireworks?
Now,
and shut off electricity to 65, 70,000 people.
I heard a Miami-Dade officer say that they got called out because there were 50 kids out there with fireworks.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard 6, I've heard 50, I've heard 3, but I've seen the picture of the cop cars, and it's a long like interstate around this mall. Every single cop in Miami-Dade was there.
Thumbs up. I mean, and there's all the theories from, Epstein's transcription of his trial, and his flight logs are being released that day.
Yep.
And there's scant mention of it. But, not to get political.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's diversion. It's a screen memory type act.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's a bit of trivia I didn't mention. I forgot till you just brought this up. I know of a remote viewing done on the mall that night, and it was done today by 3 different people, and they're going to have the results, and I'll be very interested in that.
I've watched the grainy video footage of this. First of all, I want to know, we can see the beginning of the universe in such clarity now, but yet aliens at the mall, you can't get a good picture of.
Or if you did, you got them confiscated by the cops.
That happened too. Ooh, that happened too. But I don't want to get into that. But that happened too.
Welcome to the USA.
But I did watch the video, and if you look in the right-hand corner, I don't know how close you watched it. There's an energy pulsation burst at the far right-hand side, and then you see this tall black figure walk out. It's like a split-second video.
I've seen that, but not. I've seen it as a close-up. I didn't see it from far away, where maybe that burst was in the picture. In the picture that I was shown, it was coming from right. It was from the right. It was going to the left this way.
Yep.
I'm looking at it, and it was very, very tall and slender. And all you saw was, and I thought it was a police light, a flashing light from a cop car or something.
Right.
Because there was a flash in the background far enough to it was barely affected the picture, but you could see there was something that, I never saw the far away version of it, but that was interesting.
Yeah, and then let's see the timing of the U.S. and Mexican governments talking about, hey, we have non-human craft and non-human entities. Except for the one in Mexico, they showed that body. It looked like a paper mache. That was horrible.
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. I mean,
Yeah, but all of this coming out. I'm trying to figure out how to word this without getting into the conspiracy theory level.
Well,
why now?
I'll say something if you my wife and I discuss this, but it's like, this is going to be the year we learn something. This is going to be the year we learn something. And I mean, if you think about the things that you and I are involved with,
right.
You mentioned you were going to be doing, and the Sasquatch, do they exist? The paranormal aspects, the quantum, all the UFO. We're going to have some answers to some of those, or maybe all of them, or maybe just a few. But there'll be some revelation. But even that revelation will be to take our minds and eyes off of what's going on somewhere else.
Well, I think that's since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I mean, and a lot of psychics that I've talked to, or spiritual people or whatever for the past couple of years, say that the energy's been ramping up for something.
Yeah.
Oh. And then you brought up a good point when we were talking before the show, because I told you my little alien story about my bloody nose.
Yeah.
And I'll say it for everybody real quick. I was young, latchkey kid, so I was sitting at home, and I guess I went to Blockbuster and got a UFO documentary and was watching it. comes to the part where they were saying that the ETs implant something in the person's nose. The exact same second that happens, I get a nosebleed. I'm not sick. Never had a nosebleed. Oh, and I told Carter this some time ago. And then he, backstage before the show, he asked me, he goes, so where are you at on your, do you think you've been abducted? And you know what? I don't know. I can't. I used to say, no, there's no way. That was just a coincidence. But I don't know. I don't know.
That's cool. Here's the thing. I could not have answered that question like you did, because I had no memory. The screen memories they gave me were just good enough to keep me from remembering, the car versus the UFO,
right,
going by and missing this, So I didn't have anything that I thought of. I didn't even have a nosebleed. I mean, I did have nosebleed. I did have an implant, but I did not know that.
Right.
I remember the nosebleed when I was a kid. I remembered it to this day, but I did not know it had anything to do with an alien implant. And they told me so under hypnosis. That's not supposition on my part. That's something I was told under hypnosis via my subconscious, via either Dolores Cannon or one of the other people. So that happened. And so I had nothing like that. So you had an advantage there. You had that.
Well, but and the more you talk about screen memories, what better way to block it out than I'm watching the show, and next thing I know, I'm back watching the show with a nosebleed.
Yeah.
And of course, in my head, I'm like, oh, really? Okay. But I'm going to go to a regression hypnosis individual pretty soon, so we'll find out more. But
I wish you luck at that. Really, man, that should be very, very cool. We may have to come on one of these, and I'll interview you. It'll be. I'll just come on here and we'll switch roles. I'll be doing your show. And
I'm good with that.
And serious. So you can tell your story, because you can do your show all by yourself without having anybody else on there. But that's it unlocks things. And I thought I was not under control, but I thought I knew everything about myself. You know what I mean? About myself.
Well, yeah, but then the old saying, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't. And that's what, I've said that many, many times. And here's some of the things they used to tell me. Number one, I didn't have a nose implant. And I had a bloody nose, and I pulled out this 1 foot long, I thought it was a booger. It looked like a blood vessel. And within that, apparently, was the implant. But I bled all over my shirt. I was standing out in front of my house. I remember it to this day. I remember that. Yeah. I remember the nosebleed. But I thought, well, God, did somebody punch me? Did I stick something up my nose? What was I thinking?
Well, and see, living here in the South, it's possible, because with the humidity, and then if it goes away, a little capillary. But this was, like you said, it was all over my shirt. It wasn't just I picked my nose too hard. It wasn't that.
Yeah. No, it was that. And so they, what they told me under hypnosis was that, that was an implant, and it failed. And we had to program it to reject itself because it was not working properly. So that was that foot long booger. I mean, I don't know what it was.
Yeah. Lisa says, damn it, I'll have to catch the replay.
How you doing? It was bizarre. And then another one was put in, and that was the Grays. That was probably in my bedroom when I was about 8, 9, 10. I slept on the top bunk of a bunk bed, and that's where I used to see the little aliens going down the stairs at night.
Right.
And here's another screen memory, unless you got something you want to talk about.
Well, I was just going to ask, since you've dealt with the Grays, and then you said that you drew a reptilian.
Yeah.
Now, in your humble opinion, do you think that there are hierarchies of these ETs? Some good, some bad, and there's like like
Yeah,
you always hear. Yeah,
I
you
think
see what I'm saying?
yeah, there's some bad. There's some bad. I don't think they have a chance against the good. I think the good way outweigh, the bad.
Right.
That's my personal belief. Otherwise we'd be in a deep pile of doo-doo right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, what was the other question?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
That's a great question because I don't remember.
No, they they have come to me in many forms and screen memories.
That's what it is.
They had in my bedroom, there was a toy box, and bunk beds, and a bunch of junk laying around. It was two boys. My brother was in the lower bunk. I was up on top. And in the corner, when I would see things, there would be Aunt Jemima sitting in a rocking chair in my bedroom. Well, number one, the bedroom was too full of crap because in that corner was a desk.
Right.
There was no room for a rocking chair. And it was Aunt Jemima. It was supposed to be Aunt Jemima. She had a do-rag at first, and then she didn't. And she had a gray hair. And what that was I would see that whenever I saw the gray aliens coming down the hall. And that meant they were coming to get me and either take me or do something to me there on the spot. My brother was there. They would just knock him out. He's asleep in the bunk below me.
Right.
Hit you with a rod or do some mumbo jumbo and you're out. Human, you're done.
Yeah.
So anyway, they did their thing, and that's when I see this thing of Aunt Jemima. And except Aunt Jemima didn't have a do-rag. It was my grandmother. They had the hair up in a bun, a gray bun. Aunt Jemima wore a do-rag.
Right.
But it was just enough like her. And she had her in a long dress, but there was no apron. Aunt Jemima had an apron.
Right.
Then she didn't. But so that was, when I looked at her, I thought that was my grandmother. They took a screen memory of my grandmother, and that did look just like her with her hair back in a bun. She had glasses. Aunt Jemima didn't wear glasses either. That was the big thing.
Right.
And so they had her in that, and that was also the person who owned the blue 51 Buick. See, they tied in, my grandmother into a place that she couldn't have been, and
Right.
there was no room for her. That rocking chair, by a matter of fact, is in our house now through death and leaving it to family members and wills and stuff. Yeah, we ended up with it. Bizarre,
And earlier you were talking about the hybridization and the projects. Well, and okay, so we'll keep that in mind, and then let's go look at ape chromosomes versus human chromosomes. Apes have 48 pairs. Humans have 46 pairs. Is that proof of genetic tampering? And here we are. Right. Manipulation.
Maybe at the very first, but they don't have to afterwards.
Yeah.
We continue the trend.
Yep.
So if we're a hybrid race, if you want to go there, if we're a hybrid race, we were seeded here.
Mm-hmm.
We were set in motion maybe hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years ago. I say hundreds of thousands of years, this version of humans.
Right. Yep.
And so, and I think this, at that point, at that stage of their evolution and their technological superiority, they could program us when they seeded us, if that's what happened,
Right.
and then put us here. As soon as we procreate, we're already doing what they want. They don't have to do anything other than put us here, and we're already programmed. infallible, except for manipulation or disease. We're going to be doing exactly. We're reproducing and producing exactly what they want.
And, and that just leads to further rabbit holes. I mean, you can go down if you just wanted to start studying aliens. This is why. Don't worry, folks. I'm not going to leave the paranormal world for the ufology because you will never see me again because I'm going to go down rabbit holes. So I'm just going to stay in my lane. However, it's quite interesting just to get on YouTube and type in alien abduction. Just go through some of it and just listen. But
I was telling you this before we got on the air that, and yeah, we talk about the audience right before we get on the air. It's terrible. We gossip about y'all. It's terrible. It's terrible.
It's bad. It's so bad.
But I was talking about the number of people that have contacted me and said, I felt, I thought, I know, I dreamt, like Lee, the lady earlier.
Yeah.
That I've been taken. Maybe I've been taken. Maybe I was impregnated. Maybe I went somewhere. I mean, all kinds of things. It's just phenomenal. And it's about every other book I sell is that. I'm not, I don't even concerned about, that. It's just that
right.
It's striking a chord. It's like the same with Sasquatch. People won't talk about this. They'll talk about this less than they would a Sasquatch. I don't know. I think it's actually equally bad, really. Some of the ridicule,
right,
and the hate and vitriol you get from I saw a Sasquatch. Oh, there's that Carter guy. He's crazy. You saw it. And did you hear he's been abducted by aliens? He's got it all going on. Oh, that's crazy.
Well, and there was another theory when I told you I went down that rabbit hole preparing for this interview. I went down that rabbit hole. So there's another theory that aliens are not from another planet, but they're from a interdimensional style planet that actually intersects with our Earth. Now, if that's true, let's just play hypothetical. That would make them interdimensional beings. And I also have a theory that Sasquatch is an interdimensional being. Now, is there a relation between aliens and Sasquatch? And you see there'd be a UFO sighting and then a Bigfoot sighting not far from there, and then orbs.
Yeah, I got several answers to that. I have not a lot. I have 9 properties that I monitor, habituation witnesses, Sasquatch-wise.
Got it.
And about half of those, 4 or 5, have mentioned orbs right before or right after a Sasquatch event, or a Sasquatch right before or right after an orb event.
Right.
Can't say they're tied or not. But some of these habituation properties have routine UFO activity. One of them is crazy big, huge, football field sized ship hanging over their property at night. And they have Sasquatch properties. They're all over their properties. All of them. I have nine families I monitor. And so, do you know Pork and Beans show?
I do not.
Okay, they're out of Canada. One of the guys, co-host, Michael Harrell, has this list. It's called the List of Commonality. And what he did when he was doing his graduate work, this was 30, 40 years ago, him and a number of his college cohorts that they were graduating to do this paper, did a study with 2,000 to 3,000 abductees. And they asked them, you can only be in this interview if you were awake the entire time you were taken, from the time you were taken from wherever you were taken to the time they took you back there. You were not asleep. And they ended up with, out of 10,000 or more applicants, they ended up with 2,000 or 3,000. That's what they wanted. And what it was, they gave them a list of the 5 most common beings they saw on the craft: the Greys,
Right.
the Nordics, the pale whites, the tall whites, tall Nordics, reptilians, and Sasquatch. I'd have to send that list to you. I have it somewhere.
I just looked them up on YouTube and subscribed to the channel, so I'm going to check it out.
Ask Mike. Tell Mike it's me.
Okay.
I'm supposed to be on their show later on this year, and ask him, could you send me the list of commonality?
Okay, I will.
He should, if he can or won't. But I mean, I have it. I've just got to find it.
We'll
Like,
see.
It's pretty cool. It's very interesting.
Well, not to cut you off, but you mentioned the Nordics, right?
Yeah.
Now we're going to take this down to South America. What was Quetzalcoatl? He was a tall, Nordic-looking man with a beard that came and taught them everything they know.
Yeah.
What are the odds? What are the odds that that was an alien?
Oh, it very well could have been. Here's something else. And I just saw this today. It's on Discovery Channel or an ad or something. But for Africa, China, South America, North America, the depiction of an Indian type person, South American type person, piloting a rocket ship.
Yes,
all
I've
behind
seen
the
that.
controls for complete,
Yep.
Egypt. I mean, it's just like, what? Those are 8,000 miles apart.
Exactly.
Some 10,000. Other sides of the world. How would you even know that?
And back then, they didn't know what a spacecraft was. That would be a chariot of fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's in it's in the Bible.
Yeah.
Chariot of fire. But yeah, I know exactly the picture you're talking about. Like, he's in the little box and he's kind of sitting like this with a space helmet, or what looks
He's
like a helmet.
laying back.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's like laying with his feet in the air almost.
Yeah.
It's shown mostly as a Mayan. Whenever someone's are talking about Mayan depiction of UFOs, that's shown. But it looks the same in 4 different countries, give or take the symbology, some of the cards.
Oh yeah, I mean it really. And I'm looking for that picture right now. I think I found it. No, that's
Yeah, it was just on Facebook,
Yeah.
But yeah, the abduction thing. When I did my last abduction regression, August of 2023, she confirmed so much, and she confirmed their knowledge of my Sasquatch research. And it looks very similar to that.
Right.
That's Indian, isn't it?
I
can't tell.
It says Mayan spaceman, but
Yeah. Yeah, but that's it. You could.
Okay, yeah, there we go. So that's the Mayan. Here's the Pocky. Different.
Yeah. Same thing.
Yep.
You could do that 10 times and be the same thing.
Crazy. Anyway, okay, so I just wanted to bring that up so everybody knew what we were talking about.
Yeah. No, we're not just good looking, we're actually smart too.
I mean, look out now. It's a combination.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, like so many depictions of a UFO or a spaceman, or I think they were calling it the Mayan Rocket Man or something. Oh, I mean, it is. It's all over the
Yeah.
same image, the
Yeah.
same, like damn near the same face.
You know what? That's before hoaxing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they didn't hoax stuff.
That's a
That's
lot
like
of time and effort if you're going to do a hoax.
you
And just,
you go do some cave art. If you see something that changes your, emotional status
Yep.
for any length of time, you're gonna go chisel it into some rock or do some cave painting,
Yep.
and that's your diary. This happened. This is a newspaper.
Right.
You know, this happened. That's the way they did things. They didn't hoax it. It wasn't a thing. Now
Right.
it's a thing.
No. Yeah. They didn't have AI back then.
Yeah. Is this
Or
show a
did.
hoax? Is this a hoax? Am I really here?
I mean, I don't know. This is probably this is us AI.
It,
Chat GPT did this.
yeah.
Yeah.
But when I did my last abduction and she confirmed everything, I came home, and I had transcribed all 7 tapes into Word documents. These are
Right.
cassette tapes that I took and transferred, having to buy some equipment to transfer it to electronic means, and then
Right.
electronic to print. And
Ooh.
I wasn't even going to write a book. And then I decided, oh my God, this is a book. Oh my gosh, 300, almost 400 pages. And so I put it all together, and I realized, that this is my, heart and soul. This is like
Right.
this really happened. I'm telling a lot of personal things about my life and all that, but it was very cleansing. It was just like, I'm very glad I did it, and I would probably do it again. I might still do it again because I got answers. I got some answers I'm seeking, some questions.
Right.
I know you've got questions.
Oh God, yeah. There's so many questions.
Yeah, and you got to ask them. And as long as you trust that person and you get a copy of it electronically,
Oh yeah.
you can listen to it over and over. Do listen to it over and over, like they kept telling me to do it. I didn't do it.
And I'm glad that we sort of segued back that you didn't do it. So it's sitting up there 20 something years. It's in your way. What is your in your head when you're picturing that box before you pulled it down? How are you feeling when you see that box? Before you wrote the book, before you pulled it down, like what kept you from pulling it down?
I don't know. I stacked stuff on top of it. All my DNA equipment for Sasquatch is there. My gloves and the
Right.
DNA, all that kind of shit. Excuse me.
No, you're good.
It's there. And it was just, I said, there it is. I mean, that's what I would say. I said, there it is. And I go do my thing.
Right.
It's like I knew I was going to get to it sometime. And after a while, you don't believe that anymore. And so you say, but you don't mean it. And so your intent lessens.
Like the old car in the back that you've had for 20 years. Oh, I'm going to get back there and I'm going to fix it.
Yeah.
So
I really don't know. I cannot, I'm not even stalling or trying. I cannot tell you why I did nothing about, which is a monumental thing to me. And I just sat there. It's like finding $1 million,
Yeah. Now let's fast forward to when you finally pulled it down. Was there something that entered your mind that made you go, now I need to pull that down?
Yes. Did you do the show with us here in Kansas City at Metacon?
Yep. I was there at Metacon.
Travis Walton.
Yes. He was actually, wasn't he right there beside you?
Yeah, he made it. and the two ladies I met from Canada. They said, "What the hell is your problem? What are you sitting on it for?" I mean, it was that, Travis was going, I bought his CDs and books never showed up, that weekend. He was next to him. He was
Right,
not very happy about that. He was very unhappy.
Yeah.
So, but he sent me, he signed and wrote me notes all through this. You better do it. You better do it. You get off your ass. What are you waiting for? The world needs
I
to
can
know.
hear
People
him
need to
saying
know.
that. Yeah.
And I was going, that's it. I went and booked hypnosis that weekend. And what I was going to tell you, when I did that and I finished transcribing all of that, and that took a lot of work, and I paraphrased a lot of it. I went to my wife and cried like a 10-year-old boy when I realized that this all happened. It really happened. And I kicked myself. Like I said, I'm going, what was I thinking? Leaving it in the closet. Every time I go out into the woods, do some Sasquatch work, I have to go up there and get my gloves and replenish the supplies, and DNA stuff and all that. I'm going right over it. And I'm paying it no mind. I know it's there. It ain't going anywhere. But I'm not going to do anything with it either.
Or could it been, if you'd have done something 20-something years ago with this, it could have gone the way of Bob Lazar. Okay, we're just going to push this guy back over here.
Yeah.
But now the timing of you coming out with it and writing the book, so much more acceptance.
Yeah, I guess I don't pay a bunch of money to the big web Googles and all that and have my website out there for. I mean, I just it's just word of mouth and whatever. I'm glad that people that have this, and I know it's a thing because people are calling me and contacting me and saying, "Don't say anything," but
right,
and the same things have happened to me and worse. They'll just tell me all of these things. I'm going, oh my goodness, you should dig to the bottom because that's keeping you up at night, isn't it? Yeah. Go chase them demons, But it's mind-boggling that there's that many people. But what is there? 8 billion people on the planet, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
God, the world is for your picking. I mean, if there's 100 million, that's nothing.
8,083,210,625 people on the planet.
I was close. I saw a pregnant lady today. She might be the new one.
I bet you that was that new number one that just came up. I think, yeah.
But so, but the third world and other non-communicative type areas where people are taken and they still go paint or carve. They don't write or type or internet it.
There's that entire tribe in Africa. I can't remember where they were, but they're still cut off from technology, but they have more knowledge about the stars and the way things line up than they should have.
Yeah.
And where did they get it? Because they're still mud hutting, going out, living with nature. They're not Googling.
Yeah.
Just makes
that's a good question. Yeah. So, but that's the kind of stuff that's just incredible because it all does tie in eventually,
Yep.
And I'm still learning with this. I'm still trying to figure out if I, now I'm going, God, do I want to spend that money? Do I really want to find out? Do I have enough? But I'm going to learn self-hypnosis and try to do it myself. And take myself
Oh,
somewhere.
I would not want to step in that realm where you're there by yourself. That gives me that feeling.
I might never come back.
Right.
I may be right here and not know I'm here.
Which, might not be a bad thing.
Who is that guy? So,
Yeah,
but
right.
it was incredibly revealing. I'm trying to think. They had taken me as recently, or attempted to. This is a good one. We're almost to the end here.
Yeah.
When I told you about that communication with the Sasquatch, 2021,
mm-hmm.
I have a list myself. I call it Strangeness at Home. Since 2020, a bunch of weird things have happened here. I mean, off the wall type things, stuff.
I think we've talked a little bit about it.
Yeah, tapping on it. I mean, there's been some weird stuff, I would say poltergeisting, but I don't even think it's that. I think it's more spiritual. It's anyway. There's been a lot of weird stuff going on, but in 2021, I think it was. I don't know if I told you this. I wake up and I'm feeling 3 or 4 hands under each leg.
Yeah, you told me a little bit about this, right?
And they're lifting me off the bed and they're carrying me over the edge to the right, which is a good drop. We have a really thick mattress.
Right.
And at the same time, my wife gets up and goes to the bathroom. And I'm going, hey, are you watching this shit? What's going on here? Each time I'm talking, the hands are getting closer and closer and closer. And I feel them. And I'm off the mattress. And I'm going. And she doesn't hear me. She ignores me. She goes like I'm not even there. And it's like I'm looking through a dirty windshield. It's dirty around the edges, clear as a bell in the middle. And she goes in there and goes to the bathroom. Does her business. As soon as she flushes, they drop me. But I was up. And in the hypnosis, one of those 12 questions was this an attempt? Because I asked how many times I'd been taken.
Right.
I got rid of that because there might have been too many. So I said, was I taken as recently in the last 10 years? In the last 5 years? Yes. It was like, oops.
Well, thank God she had.
I don't know. What do they want from me? I have nothing.
Well, thank God your wife had to go pee.
Huh? Yeah, no kidding.
But is it like a follow up? Okay, here he is. Let's see if, let's just say they did something to you as a child. DNA splicing, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the perfect time at your age now? Let's see the progression. Let's take it back up. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. Just like the guys with the same birthdays.
Yeah.
You tie all of that in. Now that's the weird part. I contacted the first guy, Craig. I won't say his last name. Lives in California now. He swears that wasn't him. I know it was him. He said, no, I didn't live in Dallas. I lived in Richardson, which is up the road. And, here's a guy he doesn't even know. He claims not to know me. Maybe he doesn't. But he talks to me for almost 20 minutes without hanging up. Like,
yeah.
Who the hell are you? What the hell? We talked about hypnosis. He had tried hypnosis, but he wasn't sure if he believed in the science of it. That's what he said, the science of it.
Right.
I swear it was him.
Well, because if it was...
And when I told him about the birthday, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Got real quiet. Well, that's weird. Right. And I'm going, I've got you, buddy. I know it's you. He did not. It could not be him. I will admit that right off. It could not be him. I have a good gut feeling. I play poker. I got a good gut. That's him.
Right.
2 months later, after this, and about 2 months before I released this book, I get an email on a work email I never use, never check. But it just came through. Did you hear about this? Is a guy, Gordon, I told you about.
Yep.
We hunted and fished. We were known as nature boys. We had animals, snakes, mammals, everything, birds, all kinds of stuff, both at our homes, all over our backyard. We were crazy. And he has the same birthday as me as well. And I asked him, because we spent more time together than I and Craig, and he didn't respond to my email. Do you remember anything from our days at Joe's Creek? Never got back to me. It's just a weird, and they look alike.
Right.
They could be twins, blonde, burr haircut, glasses, because that's what, everybody kind of wore that. Of course, I had dark hair, so I wasn't a burr haircut boy. But I mean, it's just ironic.
There's too many.
There's three of us.
Yeah.
The same age, the same birthday.
Yeah.
The same city. I mean, I don't care what you say. I firmly believe that there's something to that. I can't place it. I can't say it any other way other than what I just said. I have no proof. It's just a gut.
Well, it's one of those when you know that then that's good enough. I mean, this guy could have done the hypnosis and did not like what he got, and he's like, nope, I want to block this out. I mean, there's no telling without. He says, synergy. Yeah, there's just too much synergy going on with all the pieces of the puzzle fitting.
Yeah, she's smart.
Mm-hmm.
Bottler, seller.
So, last 10 minutes of the show, can you tell everybody where they can find you while I pull up your website here? There we go.
Yeah, my website is sqexplorer.com. And on there, I have my 3 books I've written on Sasquatch. It's sqexplorer.com. My email is sqexplorer@gmail.com. Pretty original, huh?
I like that.
Yeah. And you can get my books. But if you want to, you have my email, just email me and tell me you want to buy the book. They're $25 with shipping. I sign them all. Of course, that brings the value way down.
Yeah, I ripped that front cover right off. I saw you wrote all over it. I'm like, this is a bunch of crap.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because I was going to write this and leave this to my family or any close researchers or something, and just say, hey, do something with this if you want. If not, whatever, throw it away. And I decided, gosh dang it, there's a lot of stuff in here, and it still affects me. I'm not even aware of it, and it's just like, gosh, it asks more questions than it answers. But if you've ever thought about, if you've had a Sasquatch event or any kind of event or a UFO event, and you think you've been taken or you had an experience, get regressed. Do it in person. Don't do it online. Do it in person, but check it out. If it's really bugging you, instead of buying a bunch of junk food for a month or 2 or 3, save up some money and get it done right. And get a copy of it, take it home, and take it back, and find out if the things you recall or the things you remember, and I found out by accident. But I know for many people, that's how it works. They find out by accident. They are finding out, like I did, by accident.
Well, and there's a lot to be said about finding out by accident, because if you go in with the intention like you've been abducted by aliens, you may just not do it. The fear and think about Fire in the Sky. I know the movie got it wrong, but that's one scene where they're putting that cloth thing over Travis's character, and it's sucking, and that's enough to terrify you, not want to know.
Well, that was like the embryo they put me in.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that tight fitting? It was like
I was going to mention that, because think about, where did Hollywood get this whole embryo pod thing from? Because let's see, it's in all the Aliens movies.
Close Encounters.
Yeah.
It's if you talk to Lazar types and his groups and things like that, I mean that's taken from reality. The Hollywood's taken.
Yep.
Finally, there's something that Hollywood is learning instead of creating. They're learning. They're taking, things that they're shown certain things. You got enough connections, got enough money, you can get in anywhere.
Oh, right. And and look at like the MC Escher types. I'm sorry. I have a very good imagination, and I know people that do too, but I've never seen stuff like that come out of anybody before or since. So, where did it come from? Yeah.
Look at that. And this is the second book. This is it. And it's got everything. What I did was I took the four women I went under, Dolores Cannon, her 3 students. Each session, I've typed it all out. I've not sensationalized anything, and they basically speak to the process, and they speak to the fact that this stuff actually happened, because they verified one after the other. Some had more, some had less, but they verified. I mean, it happened, and
right.
I think that suddenly hit me in August of 2023 when I suddenly went, "Oh my God, this is real." Maybe I was afraid of knowing, and then I suddenly found out, and right. I bawled like a little baby.
Well, of course.
I put my head in her lap. I was bawling like a baby,
Well, like you put in the front cover of my book, all you wanted to do was ride your bike.
That's it. I just went to ride my bike with my buddy.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. Crazy stuff, man. And that would have been 1958, 59, 60, somewhere in there. And ongoing, perhaps. Who knows?
I mean, I was going to say, and just the power of those screen memories to be able to hold up that long, and the human brain, which is a highly complicated and beautiful working piece of machinery, but it couldn't break down those implanted images.
I had nothing knocking to get out except finding out by accident. I didn't have, that car that almost hit us was a car that almost hit us. That was my memory, and that was it.
Right.
That was it.
Yeah.
Took it, solid north. That was it. The other things I saw, the little grays walking down my hall and stuff. I thought that was just a weird thing. Why would I see that? What is that? These little people on an escalator. Where did I get that? I mean, in Aunt Jemima. Little right. things like that I remembered, but I didn't remember if there was anything. He said, God, that was a weird dream. Why would I dream that? And then you just go on about your day. That's what everybody.
Yeah, because all of it could have been, hell, maybe I wanted pancakes, and then move on. You never. Yeah, it's just that.
They had me remember because I did like pancakes.
Yeah.
I mean, the Saturn, they had me remember all kinds of things, and I'm going, oh my goodness, Machu Picchu.
That's a big one.
Yeah. And talking to these old souls in the Saturn ring, the rings of Saturn. I mean, it was just like, really?
Incredible. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing this experience with us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Enjoyed it.
It's amazing. Well, like always, we have a blast when we chit chat.
Yeah.
So guys, I think I put his website sqexplorer.com in all of the chats for Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and all that. If you'd like to reach out to Carter and check out his website, just click the link. If you want one of his books, you can find him. He's on Facebook, right?
Yep.
Carter Buschardt on Facebook. If there's no excuse for not getting one of his books, he's everywhere, people. So I highly suggest that you pick up a book. So before we go, let me ask you this: what cons do you have on the agenda so far? Any for this year?
Which what?
Which like Sasquatch cons? Or...
Oh, I'm not zero. I don't get invited to any of those, and I'm probably not going to be doing anything with the local groups where you and I have done some things. I'm probably not going to be doing anything for at least another 6 months or so. We'll take a break and get out in the field and do some things. I'm not. I don't just show up, and then because of my paranormal type belief system.
Right.
Nope.
Oh yeah, I think we've talked about that offline too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry, Lee. I think you were the one that asked. He's going to be doing his thing, and I think everybody should take time off from the whole circuit, paranormal circuit, and Sasquatch circuit to get out there and do what you love and why you started in the first place.
Yeah, no, 3 or 4 years is long enough. I started writing in 2020 when COVID hit, and that's 2024. Okay, it's time to get off my butt, get out and go back in the field. Find something. Hurt something. Break an arm or something. Do something.
Yeah, live a little.
Yeah, I bleed. Oh yes, I live.
And then you'll hear somebody go, "If it bleeds, we can kill it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, if you're doing any expeditions, let me know. I'd love to come out to one. Like I say, I've never squatched, never done any of that.
It's exhilarating, especially if you go to the right place. Thing is, 80-90% of the time, nothing happens.
That's
10% of the time is like awesome.
Well, same in the ghost field.
Yeah.
95% of it's boring, sitting in the dark.
Yeah. So I'm bored sitting in the dark, having a cocktail, watching the fire burn.
Right.
Okay. I'm
Any
aging
day.
slower, so what the heck?
Well, again, thank you so much for coming on, and for those of y'all who stayed with us, thank you so much for tuning in. Please, please, please go get a Carter Buschardt book. Get them all of them.
That's right.
Yes.
Do as you're told.
Do as you're told. I am your alien overlord. Do as you're told. I always like to end my show with the saying, and I hope it still means something to you, Carter. But it's not about surviving the storm, but it's how you dance in the rain that matters. Thank you all for watching. Tune in next Sunday, where my guest will be the Texas Wraith Chaser Hunter himself, Anthony. So we'll see you guys next Sunday. Good night, everybody.